Abydos. This name whispers to us from the sands of ancient Egypt. It was a place of immense, almost unbelievable importance to an entire civilization. Think about this. Long before the grand temples of Luxor rose to prominence, and well before the famous Valley of the Kings became the chosen resting place for pharaohs like Tutankhamun, Abydos already held the title. It was Egypt's original, most sacred city of the dead. The very first kings, the founders of the earliest dynasties, selected this hallowed ground. They chose it for their journey into eternity. The ancient Egyptians held a profound belief about Abydos. They saw it not just as a burial site, but as a place of immense spiritual power. For them, it was a tangible connection to the afterlife, a doorway, a portal to the duat, the underworld. This conviction was not a fleeting idea. It was a cornerstone that shaped their views on life, death, and the cosmos for thousands of years. So powerful was this belief that many desired to be buried at Abydos, or at the very least to have a monument, a cenotaph, erected there in their name. For countless centuries, Abydos was the pulsating heart of a powerful religious cult. This cult was dedicated to Osiris, one of Egypt's most important deities. Osiris was the god of the underworld, the judge of the dead. Crucially, he was also the god of resurrection and rebirth. This divine association made Abydos an incredibly holy place. Pharaohs from the very dawn of Egyptian history, from the first dynasty onwards, chose this stark desert landscape for their houses of eternity, their tombs. They hoped for a glorious rebirth, just like Osiris. So, while the Valley of the Kings in Luxor captures much modern attention, remember Abydos. It was the true genesis. It set the precedents, the foundational patterns for royal burials in Egypt. The elaborate funerary traditions that we associate with ancient Egypt, they found their first full expression here. The deep-seated desire for an eternal existence, for a life beyond death, was potent. Abydos was where the ancient Egyptians first drew the detailed blueprint for achieving that monumental dream. Its legacy is etched into the very soul of Egypt. Archaeologists, those tireless detectives of the past, have made astonishing discoveries at Abydos. Imagine peeling back layers of sand and with them, layers of time. They have uncovered impressive royal tombs. These tombs belong to some of the very first pharaohs to rule over a united Egypt. Some of these structures date back to around 3000 BC, perhaps even earlier. These are far from simple graves dug into the earth. They are often complex architectural endeavors, revealing the early Egyptians' sophisticated building skills. They also clearly demonstrate the profound reverence held for their departed rulers. Close to these ancient royal tombs, excavators found something else, something monumental and mysterious. They unearthed enormous enclosures, built from millions of mud bricks. These are sometimes called funerary cult enclosures or ritual enclosures. They were not tombs themselves containing a pharaoh's body. Instead, these vast walled areas served as sacred spaces for ceremonies. These rituals were performed to honor the dead pharaohs and ensure their continued power in the afterlife. Some enclosures, like the one for King Khafre from around 2700 BC, were truly immense, covering several acres. One of the most captivating and revealing discoveries at Abydos is the presence of boat graves. Yes, you heard that correctly. Actual full-size boats buried carefully in the desert sands. Archaeologists have located more than a dozen of these remarkable funerary vessels. These were not tiny skiffs or symbolic models. Some of these wooden boats were incredibly long, reaching up to 75 feet in length. They were interred in neat rows, often near the tombs of First Dynasty pharaohs. These silent ships tell us so much about Egyptian beliefs. The early tombs themselves, often referred to as mastabas, were typically constructed from sun-dried mud brick. They possessed substructures that were dug deep into the ground below the desert surface. These subterranean sections housed the burial chambers for the pharaoh. They also contained multiple smaller rooms which were packed with grave goods for the afterlife. The great ritual enclosures, such as the still-standing Shunet el-Zabib, are awe-inspiring. Their massive, towering mud brick walls have endured for nearly 5 millennia. They stand as silent, imposing witnesses to ancient royal rituals and a society deeply focused on eternity. So, why exactly were these powerful early pharaohs buried with entire fleets of full-sized ships? The ancient Egyptians had a very specific cosmic reason for this practice. They believed that the deceased pharaoh needed to undertake great voyages in the afterlife. He was destined to join the sun god Ra on his daily journey across the heavens. Ra, the supreme solar deity, was thought to sail across the sky by day in a magnificent vessel called the Manjit, or day bark. Then by night he navigated the perilous waters of the underworld in another boat, the Mesektet, or night bark. These buried ships, therefore, were not merely symbolic tokens of status. They were considered essential equipment, functional vehicles for the pharaoh's eternal journey. They provided the king with the necessary transportation for these celestial and underworld travels. Some of these ancient boats even show signs of having been used in water during their time. This suggests they might have played a role in the pharaoh's funeral procession itself. Perhaps they carried his body on a final earthly pilgrimage down the Nile to Abydos. Or maybe they were royal barges he used during his lifetime. Their careful burial ensured his mobility and power in the next world. Beyond these incredible ships, the pharaohs were entombed with a vast array of other offerings. These items were meticulously chosen and placed within the tomb. They were intended for the pharaoh's use and sustenance in the afterlife. Imagine a king waking up in the next world. He would need provisions. These included large quantities of food, such as bread, meat, and fruit. There were also countless jars of wine and beer, essential beverages. Furniture, tools, weapons, and games were also common, ensuring comfort and even leisure. The sheer volume and diverse nature of these funerary offerings are truly astounding to us today. They provide a clear window into the considerable wealth and resources of early dynastic Egypt. They also underscore the paramount importance placed on the pharaoh's successful transition to becoming a divine being, an Osiris. By lavishly providing for their deceased king, the living community believed they were helping to maintain Ma'at. Ma'at is the crucial concept of cosmic order, truth, and balance. The pharaoh's well-being in the afterlife was inextricably linked to the prosperity and stability of the entire land of Egypt. The ancient Egyptians were meticulous observers of the cosmos. The sun, the moon, the stars, these were not just distant lights, they were divine entities moving in predictable patterns that governed life itself. This deep astronomical knowledge was woven into their architecture. They aligned their temples and tombs with significant celestial events and directions. At Abydos, a fascinating pattern emerges in the placement of many early monuments. They are oriented towards a prominent natural gap in the high limestone cliffs to the west of the site. This alignment was anything but accidental. It was a deliberate symbolic choice, rich with meaning. The ancient Egyptians associated the west with death and the underworld. The sun appeared to die in the west each evening before its miraculous rebirth in the east at dawn. That specific gap in the cliffs, known as Pika, was believed to be the actual entrance to the Duat, the realm of Osiris. By orienting tombs and enclosures towards this point, the builders were creating a sacred pathway. They were architecturally guiding the deceased pharaoh on his journey to follow the sun and achieve resurrection. Today, modern science grants us new ways to peer beneath the sands, to uncover secrets invisible to the naked eye. Archaeologists now routinely employ powerful tools called geophysical surveys. One highly effective technique is magnetometry. This method measures minute variations in the Earth's magnetic field across a site. Buried features such as mud brick walls, ditches, pits, or even compacted earth from ancient pathways subtly alter the local magnetic field. These anomalies can be detected by sensitive instruments and mapped out. It's like giving archaeologists a form of X-ray vision for the landscape. These non-invasive surveys have yielded extraordinary results at Abydos. They have helped to locate previously unknown tombs, offering chapels and even entire sections of the ancient settlement. They have revealed the true vast extent of this city of the dead, much of which still lies buried. These findings powerfully confirm Abydos's role as the foundational center of Egyptian funerary beliefs and practices. The core Egyptian belief in resurrection, the conviction that death was not an end but a transition, was nurtured and codified here. Abydos truly was the cradle of these enduring ideas, a place where life's earthly end marked the beginning of another grand cosmic journey.